way too deep.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It is your host, your boy, a J Dog here on XP Share. I am joined today with my lovely co-host, Juice Wayne, and our lovely, amazing guest, Charlotte. How you guys doing today?
I'm feeling lovely. Ooh. Say it
Oh
again.
yeah,
I'm feeling good.
a little pretty.
I feel pretty.
So
I'm
pretty.
having a good day, man. Having a
That's-
good day so far. Well, good weekend in general, honestly.
Hell yeah, dude. I feel like the weekend's already over. It's gone. It never
We
happened.
lost it. We
It's
lost it, unfortunately.
non-existent. Hate to hear. So I am so excited for this. Charlotte has come to me with some questions of her own with her current PhD venture, for lack of a better term. We are excited to share it, and we are more than excited to have her on talking about it. You know who we are, so we're going to jump straight into it. Charlotte, tell people about yourself.
Oh God.
What you're working on, everything.
So I'm Charlotte. I'm also known as Fullycustom online. I'm currently studying my PhD in creative technologies, which is going to basically be about online gaming communities and whether people believe that they can have as an authentic relationship online as they can in real life. But on the side of that, I am a content designer and I love making videos and making cool avatars and cute things. That's pretty much it for me.
For those of you
Very
who
nice.
do not know, again, her avatar or whatever profile name, fully custom in the Discord. She's got her own design channel as well. If you want to check out some of her work, I'm sure she's got her portfolio somewhere linked there.
Yeah.
I'm actually 100% sure it's somewhere there. Definitely check it out. Art is amazing. I've commissioned some myself. The old Crack Media logo for sure. Well, the actual Crack Media logo, just with a different background now. So she did that for me. Thank you. Amazing.
No worries.
So let's jump right into it. We got a list of topics to go through. We're gonna try to touch on an hour. But we're also thinking about we're also probably gonna continue this on a second episode for sure. So don't go anywhere, guys. This will definitely be a series. And God, I'm so excited. I'm really excited to talk about this. It's like,
yeah, man.
It's
as lifelong gamers too. You know, people who they say you do something for 10 years or 10,000 hours, you can consider yourself a master, right? I mean, we've been in the gaming community for much longer than
in
10
their
years.
grind,
So
dude.
this is something that you can naturally speak to, and with confidence.
Yeah, it's well, it's just interesting how much, especially how technology has supported the whole thing as well. And we're definitely going to talk about that. So, first, starting off, kind of what you wanted to go over, the definition in early days. So, what are you trying to get about the whole nature, kind of like theme?
So, I don't know. So I know it's a whole thing. To be fair, I've got to give it to these guys. I gave them a whole thing, and I was like, let's just talk about it all. And it's just the contents of my head. To be fair, so when I was talking about the definition in the early days, obviously, like for me at 26, the online gaming communities go way before me, and which is always strange to think about. Is that all these different decades of people have had a different introduction to how communities have become about, whether they were physical are now more online than anything. So what I wanted to touch on with the definition at the end of the day is what actually people consider an online gaming community.
Mm.
So if you guys were to define it, what would you class as an online gaming community for you?
Gosh, it seems like it has the potential to be specific,
but
but
it's
also
very broad.
very open ended if you wanted it to be as well.
So
Yeah,
I think at the end of the day, like when you're talking about just like a gaming community, you're just talking about the people who hover around that game pretty much, who play that game, who talk about that game, kind of stuff like that. So I would say there's a little bit of a difference between like a quote unquote broad online community versus kind of like a niche gaming community versus a game community kind of thing.
yeah.
But I mean, of course, at the end of the day, kind of like what Crack Media is doing right now is, I mean, it's not just a gaming community; it's more of an online community. But you know, we still have different people that like different games and stuff like that. So I guess it really depends on what you're trying to hone in on, as far as like if you're talking about an online gaming community from Xbox Live Call of Duty or PS5 Apex Legends kind of thing like that, or if you're talking about kind of like a social
Twitter,
platform, yeah,
Discord,
kind of like
yeah,
yeah.
100%. Yeah, it can be broken down into multiple. I mean, this is a multi-headed beast without question. You know, it's
I mean, technically, you could probably call Reddit an online gaming community, depending on the subreddit. That
That's really
actually,
like interesting thing to say about the whole Reddit and Twitter thing, because technically, according to the academia, technically social media is an online gaming community, but if it's whether you take it as you said in that broad context or in that niche context,
yeah,
it's as long as there is a group of people coming together about something that talking in the gaming related way, that is a community. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. So even if like, I don't know, you've got a private Discord server and there's 3 of you in it, like technically you're a community. It like
yeah.
it's just like talking about the same thing together. But no, I really liked your point about the social media thing, because a lot of people would just assume that social media and gaming communities are completely different. But I think what it is social media is a tool in which to communicate. And I think that's something really
Yeah.
important as well. It's the same like with I would consider like guild chats would also be a part of gaming communities, because even though you're physically in the game, you're still talking about it and still being a part of something.
exactly.
100%. 100%.
And yeah, that goes back to like old MNOs, Jesus, MMOs. Like, you know, just starting off with one of the first major ones is EverQuest. You know, you got, you know, EverQuest had a guild system. There's a community there. Went into World of Warcraft, other MMOs like that, and then that kind of goes back on the technology of um, just online forums in general. Uh, as you can see nowadays, forums aren't a major thing anymore, especially with the implementation of things like Discord and Guilded. Forums are not a thing of the past, but they're like the cassette tape slash CD of today's age. You
The
know?
vintage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Anything, what is it now? Is it 10 or 15 years when something is classed as vintage? So that's all of us.
I think it's 15. That sounds about right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the whole like idea that I think forums were like the catalyst, and then that became sort of instant messaging, and then instant messaging has then progressed to kind of where we are with Discord and things like that. Because like I remember 10 years ago, there wasn't Discord; it was like Skype or Team. What was that other one called? Team Viewer? Oh my no,
Team
it's
Viewer.
something like
Well,
yeah.
There's TeamSpeak as well.
Well, TeamSpeak, yeah. So there was TeamSpeak, there was Ventrilo,
Xfire.
Xfire. Oh yeah, X-Fire did have voice at some point. And then even CurseForge. Wait, wasn't it?
Curse, yeah.
Wait, was X-Fire Curses? No,
That's
those
a
were
good question.
those were two different things. Somehow I think I was thinking that X-Fire was CurseForge's voice platform, but I don't think that's 100% correct. But they definitely, they all transitioned again. Ventrilo, TeamSpeak, CurseForge, Xfire. They all transitioned with that again. The voice thing to where now here we are. Discords, everything's in one
Yeah.
place. You got instant messaging. You got
Video
voice.
chat.
You got your own streaming. Like it's literally your own server.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. The evolution of this is insane. Which, earlier we were talking about writing a thesis or a dissertation. It's like naturally with everything that we've seen. I don't. I mean, if you tell me to write a 100 page paper on this, I might be able to. I'll probably get to more like 60, and then I'll just burn out from there. But no,
It's that
there's so much to uncover, historically.
it's that
Yeah.
hyperfixation.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But it's just it's just interesting, especially when you think about it from not just a MMO kind of text perspective, but then when you go from the evolution of Xbox Live, PlayStation Online, um, Nintendo Online, like they've always had focal platforms. They haven't really, those weren't really quote unquote text based communities. So, you would always get online, invite somebody to a party, you got your friends list. So, I mean, that's a community in itself right there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is true. Where does all this start for you, Charlotte? I mean, at what point did you find yourself fully enveloped in the gaming community?
So, I think I was a pretty late bloomer to gaming community specifically. I got my first laptop when I was 11, and from then I was like obsessed with like DeviantArt, if anybody remembers that.
Yep,
And
yep.
talking on there with like all the forums, and because people like had their own like oh, what do they call them? Like role play like servers on there, and like, oh, here's my character, let's go pretend to like be somewhere else, and that was always fun.
Yeah.
And then when my brother he got more consoles, I got more like PCs. Like that's kind of how we developed. And he started talking to more people like on the PlayStation, and then it kind of transitioned like to Nintendo started to get that sort of thing as well. And then I end up talking. We had like the same like group of people on Skype. That's pretty much where like it started. And why I was always so interested in talking about it is because everybody's story of where it began for them is so different. Like,
Yeah.
as I say, like for me, it was like, oh yeah, I've always loved gaming. I've gamed all my life, but like the specificness of talking to people, I was like, well, the first conversation I ever had with someone specifically in a community like that was when we were talking about Animal Crossing. And it was like, but for someone else, it might be like, oh, I was talking to, we was fighting to the death, on something, and like that's how we became friends, or we were frenemies. And I
Yeah.
think that's just such like an interesting place to start.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a great point. I could definitely think of a few people that I'm friends with now because we were beefing at some point. Whether it's on a GTA 5 role playing server or just randomly met them in a Call of Duty lobby, and
Yeah.
it's so true.
One of
What
the
1v1
longest
me, bro?
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh, I loved playing COD when I was a teenager because of how angry people got. And it's still now, it's still a thing. But I
Yeah.
think it was just that sort of purity of just like hearing all of these grown men just get angry. It's just I think that just kind of helps. Not helps for anything, but it helps you feel like you're a part of something, even if they're angry at you. It's like, oh well, I belong, because
Yeah,
we're all
that's a great
angry
point.
at this thing or whatever. Um, No, one
I,
of my brother's best friends, he's known him coming up 13 years online. They've never met in person. I've spoken to him for all this time. I had to make sure we're all right. And I think he wouldn't have met. I think they spoke like on Mod Nation on the PlayStation, which was just like a really niche, weird thing. And they just started talking, and then this friendship that's going to probably last a lifetime comes out of it. And it's like,
Yeah,
that's so interesting to think about.
it's true.
It doesn't always happen in real life because, like, well, at least in my opinion, it's like if you bump into someone in the street, you might have a 2-minute conversation, but that will be it. Where I think online allows you to kind of explore it.
That is a great point, actually. You don't necessarily. I don't know. Maybe you don't feel. Now, how do you describe that? It's like if it's in person and you randomly have a conversation with someone, you might small talk for a minute or two and then go, all right, it's getting a little awkward, so you have a good day now. Whereas online, it's randomly running to someone, small talk. Hey, you're kind of cool, man. You want to keep playing? And then now the next thing you know, you guys are friends.
I
It's
I could definitely I can definitely relate to that. I'm
I
definitely
think
it's there. It's like especially with the social awkward kind of like I'm just gonna say society right now, just for a general broad term.
sure.
It's like it. You meet a new person and you are that kind of introvert, socially awkward person. It's not that you're looking for a way out of that person to person interaction, but it just gets so awkward so fast because it's that person person interaction that
Yeah.
it almost doesn't feel as authentic in a way, which is arguably different in a sense, depending on like, of course, who you are, who your background is, kind of stuff
Of
like
course.
that. So
Yeah. Yeah. How much liquor do you have in you at that moment? All
yeah.
those things make a difference.
I think as well, what always helps, like, and it's something that I've kind of touched on in my research, is like the idea that you have something in common straight away with someone. Because, like, when you're online, you're playing a game, you're playing it together because you both love it. And, like, you have that in common, and then you can move on to the other things. And, like, statistically, it's more likely that you'll be more open online than you will in real life. And I think that helps as well, because it might be like, look, I know we've only known each other a week, but, I feel like telling you about like my life. And it's weird, but it's also like it's needed now because it's like it's jumping the hurdle straight away, no awkwardness, or making it as least awkward as it possibly can be.
I'm
Good
just I'm
point.
just saying the best way to make an online friend is when you trauma dump on each other within the first
Amen.
hour.
Trauma builds character, especially between people.
you're just like regurgitating your whole backstory, and then the other person's like, "All right, I guess I'll regurgitate mine." And oh shit, you want to play more games?
Yeah. That's a good point, man. I mean,
Trauma bonding.
two of them. I mean, we could talk about like MCGB, for example, as I mean, it started off with me knowing you knowing Nico, and then Nico introducing myself to everyone else, and now I mean, what is this? 14 years later, we're still adults now. Some of us with kids and whole families, but still hanging out, seeing each other, and it's not like we grew up. Well, I mean, some of the guys did. I didn't, but when I see some of these guys, I just it's just a dopamine dump. I can't help but want to open my arms and hug everyone, as if we grew up together and went to school together. I didn't go to school with these guys, but Call of Duty, you know, Xbox Online.
Just as a little backstory for everybody, MCGB was like our Call of Duty group. Stood for McGangbang, which was um, a concoction at McDonald's. Yeah, we would. It would be our ritual every day. It was McDouble over top of a McChicken.
Yes.
and
Or a McChicken inside of a McDouble.
that better stated. But we were that's I mean it was the name of our group is what we all agreed on. It's like it's what we all just went with, and then it was just a meme. Every time we'd go to McDonald's, like it wasn't officially on the menu in places in California. Apparently, it was in like Florida and stuff like that. So you would
And
need to
Seattle.
order. You would need to order it separate. You would need to get the McDouble and the McChicken, and you need to put it together yourself. But it became like kind of like our own in person ritual outside of the online universe, which was Call of Duty.
Yeah. And it's just
Yeah,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know. It was just it was just funny when you said about the whole like outside things. I think what happens is that you kind of had this like online relationship, and you start letting it become more of like an external part as well. So like you might meet up in person. That's like a big thing. Or as you say, like I know I've sent like birthday cards and like Christmas cards and things, and it's those little things that still keep you connected externally, so people also can understand like, God, this is my friend. I've just sent him a card. Like, come on, mum, dad. I've known him for 12 years. Like, I'm gonna send him a card. And but yeah, it's just And can I say something? I need to try that sandwich. That's not a thing here.
Really? So apparently it was like officially McGangbang was on the menu in like I think it was Florida and one other state, but like everywhere else you just had to put it together.
Yeah.
And it like back in that day it was $2. $1 for the McDouble, $1 for the McChicken. And it was just it was of course it was since it was two sandwiches, it was so much bread, like you wouldn't need anything else. $2 gets you full. That's it. And so it was great. It was perfect for everybody because we were gamers. Some of us has stupid metabolisms for no reason, even though we didn't play sports. Like skinny as shit, just fucking chowing down. There was one day they used to do 49-cent cheeseburgers on Wednesdays, and
I remember that.
here comes Brett with $25. Like, give me cheeseburgers for the boys.
Yeah. Shout out SB on Valentine's Day.
Who by the way was on last episode for Smash Brothers, if you guys want to check that out on the YouTube. Boom, shameless plug. It's something I wanted to mention too. It's actually really funny that we're talking about this on this current week when Kyle is not here, because Kyle is currently out visiting his gaming buddies. He is
Really?
yeah, he I forget what state they're in, what state he went to, but yeah, he's taken a vacation for I think 5-7 days or whatever, and he's visiting his gaming buddies that he's been playing with.
That's amazing.
So yeah,
that's crazy.
it's just kind of ironic. Let's see what I totally just lost myself on the list here. So we're going into kind of like we kind of touch on the dynamics, kind of transitioning into competitive gaming and esports. That's a whole
whole episode.
That is huge. Oh, Kyle's in Texas. That's where he is. So he's in Texas hanging with the boys. So that's pretty cool. Just as far as I know, it's his first time, actually seeing him in person too. So it's just kind of like,
oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it's kind of
I
like
love them videos. Them little videos that are on like Facebook, and I know I'm a Facebook mom. I love it. And when it's like meeting their online like boyfriend or girlfriend or online friend for the first time, and they just like run up to each other, I'm like, just give you that warm feeling. Then it's like that's meant to be that, that's written somewhere in this world, like for that has to happen.
Literally the most wholesome videos on the fucking internet. Like those are. Oh my god, it's tear to my eye, man. It's beautiful.
It's
Um,
so cute.
it's I I would say it's really interesting. I don't want to say it's a direct gaming kind of thing, but more of a social, like, society kind of thing. It feels like, and tell me if you guys kind of like hit this or not. It feels like, especially when you're coming from quote unquote outside of a gaming community, like you haven't really been in depth, kind of like, Call of Duty 24/7, whatever. You just kind of like touch some games here and there, touch some forums. It feels like we've transitioned to more of like, hey, buddy, we play the same games. I want to meet you, support you, kind of thing, to where people are kind of becoming more egotistical, selfish in a way, especially when it comes to like, I hate to drop this bomb, but I'm gonna fucking drop it because it needs to be a conversation. Having your own Discord server, like
Yeah.
having your own Discord server, and again, we're gonna transition to it too. Content creation, Twitch,
Mm-hmm.
Kick,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like supporting those kind of channels. How has that, from your guys' perspective, how has that changed the general person's persona, emotion, what have you?
The term clout chaser is so much more prominent than it's ever been.
Yes,
So much more prominent than it's ever been. I mean, before it was kind of used as a joke. No, it's a real thing now. I mean, I I know people in the Call of Duty competitive community, and being friends with a former pro player is cool, right? Because you kind of get to hear their perspective on what it was like to be in the pro community. But then you start to notice the fakeness of the people around them, or people who kind of come around just because that person is around, and literally won't talk to anybody else in the group but that person, and they don't even really know that person in the first place. They just they just want to talk,
Yeah.
and I don't know. You just kind of just start to see things like, oh, well, this is really weird. I'll never forget, man. There was one time I forgot what game I was playing, but we were trying to get. It was me and Luann. We were trying to get someone to play with us, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know." And the second we were like, "Oh, well, this person's gonna play," and they were like, "I'll be there in 5 minutes." So okay,
Yeah,
all right,
there's definitely a lot of that too, and it I mean it translates to the outside world too. It's like if you're not part of a social group, if you're not part of a clique, you're just gonna feel that kind of awkwardness because you only have, for lack of a better term, attachment to that one or two people inside that community, clique, social group, whatever, right? So it's more of a, is it more of a transition thing that that these people are trying to get into the group, or again, back to the whole, are you just like starstruck, gazing, clout chasing kind of thing?
mm-hmm.
I
um
think
Yeah,
that's so like true though. I think what sort of happened is the idea of a gaming community has now become from something that is more general. So like, oh, we all love Call of Duty here, and like that's it. Where now it's kind of sprung off into its own subsection where it's sometimes you're having a community about an actual one person. So like specific YouTubers have their own communities now, and
yeah,
Twitch streamers have their own communities, which is all fine. But I
yeah,
think what's happened then is it's kind of lost its way in that sort of authenticness, because you kind of go from talking about something that you all competitive love, and you can obviously all love one person, but then does that kind of not make it a bit more of like the sort of audience mentality of like, I don't know, a boy band, if that makes sense?
yeah,
Like you all know them, you all love them, but like it's that parasocial relationship in it where like you can't have a real friendship with them. You can only picture it, you can only imagine it, you can only taking what they're saying and, take it in your heart or whatever. Where it's not the same as an actual community with people who are on the same, we'll call it level, but that's obviously up for debate, as you. And you can actually have a real friendship with them.
Well,
And I
yeah,
think that's why we kind of get all roped in. I think that's why gaming communities get a bit more of a bad rap now. It's because this toxicness has come from somewhere. I don't necessarily think it's come from the idea of a gaming community.
well,
Yeah.
you're you're hitting the exact point too, because it's again that whole you're following a content creator, you're essentially following a band, you're doing the cult classic thing, you're just following to follow. So is it really like you're there for the content creator, you're not there for anybody else, right? You're
Yeah.
you're starstruck. You're starstruck at that one person, and everybody else in the Discord is just not even there. Might as well not even. You're there to see. Oh, video uploads. Oh, some people are talking. Like again, you create those clicks within that community of people who have this same. Just lost the word. Same affinity for this one person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get into the Discord hoping that at some point you'll be able to play with that person or or hang out with that person, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with shooting for that. But like you said, make sure that you don't forget. Like we're still here as fellow gamers. And I know that a lot of content creators might get they're definitely not okay with people coming into communities just for the sake of hanging out with them. It's like the whole purpose of me creating this community is so gamers can come together. You know, I'm gonna use a word in a safe space and have some fun with each other. It doesn't have to be about me, but of course, there's always going to be that person who will make it about something more vain, and it's
Yeah.
you shouldn't really punish the entire community for that one person at the same time.
Yeah.
So I do my best not to,
Well, it's also like back
but always
in.
call them out.
Yeah, right. I mean, that also goes back to like, back when Mixer was just starting up, and back in the early days of Twitch, when Fortnite first came out and stuff like that, all smaller streamers, you would be that person trying to make that content, and then here come these just random people in chat like, hey, can I play? Hey, can I play? Hey, can I? Well, you like just randomly, like, sure, that's kind of how you go about creating a community, but then that it's not an authentic, hey, can I play with you because I want to play with you. It's a, hey, can I play with you so I can get on your stream, so I can get your cloud, so I can follow for follow kind of bullshit. So it's like again another gray area to where, am I here for the person or am I here for,
Yeah,
again, for lack of a better term, the fame, the cloud?
you know, I guess you're right. It definitely depends on the person, right? And a part of the reason why I never truly enjoyed watching big streamers, with the exception of a handful, is because of the fact that I always wanted to support people who were small communities who were on the up and up, right? It's part of the reason why I was always such a big fan of Trey Beret. And also Trey Beret being a black streamer, it just wasn't really something I was seeing a whole lot of at the time when I first got on Twitch, so it made it easier for me to support. But
Yeah.
but then again, it also comes down to, and I'll say, how much you support, right? Uh, I've donated over, I wouldn't say over. I probably say close to $1,000 over time since I've joined Trey's community, and it was never about love me senpai or anything like that. It was just about like, yo, I don't want you to stop streaming, bro. Like you're a source of entertainment for me. Whenever I'm at work and I'm bored as hell, guess who I turn on? You. So if this donation will help you to keep streaming, then so be it. This is that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it was never about put me on stream. It was always about thank you. Period. Just straight up thank you. So the intention means everything, obviously.
I actually want to touch on another point with that before we possibly jump into esports and stuff like that. But real quick, what Panda said in chat, video games legit saved my life, and I'm happy I got to meet people who became like a family to me.
Yeah.
That also hits home too. It's kind of the basis of gaming communities, like especially again for those introverted, quote unquote, socially awkward people. They strive in these communities where they can actually meet these like-minded people in a quote unquote safer environment that just lets them be themselves. And it's again, it's like a world of, it opens a whole new world for people.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Um, no, go ahead.
Me? Oh no, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to say something.
No.
But what I also wanted to touch on is when it comes to donating and stuff like that to your favorite streamer, the disinformation of the popular general idea of, again, the other side of the coin. If I donate to this streamer, I get to play with them, I get to see them, I get to do things with them, I get to develop this parasocial relationship with them, especially when it comes from girl streamers and guy donators. Like, oh, this is my in, bro. Like, I donate to this chick, I can slide in her fucking DMs. Like, this is easy. This is like, and then you find out 3 years later, that dude who donated like 2 months in got fucking mod, and then 3 years later he sent the chick dick pics, and then he's gone.
Yeah. You got a little too comfortable, my boy.
Exactly.
Got a little too comfortable, sir.
Well, and then again, there's the other side to that coin, to where, yeah, I modded this guy like 2 months into my stream, and we're fucking married now. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, it's that difference in development that I don't think has a specific factor, like a correlation factor to each individual person, but yeah, it's different. It's different for everybody. It's how you present yourself at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good point. Because like two great examples of this, one for one side and one for the other, is Cinnamon Toast Ken. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He kind of hangs around with PewDiePie, which he probably hates saying that. His wife, he actually met her through Facebook, like through like a Facebook group that he had for his own content. And he was like, look, if I tried to find a wife now, I'd never be able to do it that way. Like, there's just, no way that would happen. But obviously on the other side, you kind of have Jared. I forget his last name. Pro Jared. And that was a whole thing. A whole mess. And I think what the difference was is having that mutual respect, I think. I think if the fan, whoever manages to break the glass ceiling, we'll call it, and be able to be with this, content creator, it's at that point, it's like, look, we're done now. This is respect now. This is it. There's not like that sort of kind of different roles that you kind of get. I think very similar, like when you have like a job with your boss, like you can't like have that anymore if you're together. All of that sort of labeling has to kind of go away. And I think that's what people struggle with, like with the content creation side of things. And as you say, like with the streamers who like make mods and it kind of all goes wrong. It's all from that sort of same angle, I think.
Well, it's interesting because like it's, especially when you're a small content creator, and let me know if it resonates with you guys at all. But me personally, you see all these viral videos and people blowing up and stuff like that, and especially with cancel culture kind of stuff going on, which I'm sure like we can literally talk for hours about that, which is probably why this is going to be a two episode thing. Me personally, I'm just like, sure, a viral video and stuff would be cool, but like I like I reserve myself for the fact that I don't want to do something fucking stupid that goes viral and be known for that fucking stupid thing. You know?
Yeah, just for that. Yeah. I mean, it does work for some people. Some people get blessed, like Doja Cat, for example. She started doing something really viral, really really silly, and now she's a huge pop artist. Now, it's like it can work,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. The thing is, it shouldn't be the formula. It should
Yeah.
not be the formula, and it is, um, for many people. So yeah,
I think that's what people think they have to kind of grow from, is that they have to be like, look, I have to be the next big thing or bust. I can't
yeah,
be in between. There is no in between. And I think that's why people kind of build up this big thing and they're like, I don't know, I'm gonna jump off a building, and get a million views, and then like it goes wrong, and then like you never see them again. I
yeah,
guess
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
bit like a one-hit wonder.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Once you've had the success of one thing, can you top it? Probably not really, but if you're really good at it, good at the same thing consistently, that's completely different.
Yeah,
Well,
100%.
that's
If you're
also
really good
another.
at it.
Yeah, that's also another thing though. Is like you can't like if you're trying to do that content thing, you can't be that one hit wonder and not build off of that. Like there's plenty of people who've gone viral for like a week, a month, and then fell off the face of the earth because they didn't keep up with it, kind of thing. They didn't build off of it. Um, One thing that comes to mind is what's her face? Oh my god, I just had her name. Um, Bad Baby or whatever. The chick who was on the little kid who
Yeah,
was on Dr. Phil. She said fucking 5 words. 5 words.
huge.
And she's fucking all over the place. Now people think like her music is good. It's like shit like that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean the 2010s definitely became like a very goofy decade, for things like that. It's actually, I mean, in my life, you know what though? I can't say the necessarily the silliest decade that I was in, because that's when a lot of like the EDM thing experiences happen. But they're just like I don't know, maybe just pop culture in general in that decade, it was just bottom tier.
Yeah.
It's just
Gangnam Style.
terrible.
Yeah, Gangnam Style for sure. That
Hey
was
man,
a
hold
meme.
on, bro. Hey bro, don't disrespect Gangnam
Hey,
Style, okay? All right,
he
Don't
still
disrespect
all right.
Sai. He is a
Yeah,
musician.
bro. Yeah,
yeah, I mean he still goes around. He still he built off of that. He's one of
yeah,
those. It was a meme for a little bit, and then people realized, oh shit, this is an actual person. He's making music. He's actually legit, kind of thing. So
yeah,
that's just one example of somebody who took something and built off of it, whereas others again are just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try to be viral and then not do shit about it, and then cry about it when I'm dead within a week, kind of thing. Quote unquote dead, like metaphysically, not like
yeah,
physically.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
depends. If they're jumping
So,
off a building, but they could be dead.
yeah, exactly. Um,
Like how you said metaphysically.
I mean, in game, like we die a lot. We have hell lives. I'm on
Yeah.
like live 50 right now. It's still going down exponentially. I might add, depending on what game I'm playing at the time. Um, but I did want to try to wedge in this episode for sure because we have like 15-30 minutes left. So I did want to kind of wedge in and get into the whole how competitive gaming and esports has kind of shaped things as well in
Yeah,
terms of um, just, I mean, just in terms of again, going back to that whole kind of clout chasing aspect, following this one person. But then again, you can argue the same thing for physical sports as well, right?
Definitely. Technically, all sports can be classed as a religion because they all have like a place you go to. and you all follow the same thing. There's rules, you know. So
I
technically,
never
we're
thought
all
of it like
believers,
that. I'm down.
Well,
and it works
they're
for
all
esports as
cults.
well. Yeah, you might not have a physical space though, but technically you can have a digital church now, so we're good, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Every sports team is a cult. That's it. That's
I didn't use that
Man,
word, but you can use it.
you know what? I think Colt is fitting. I wish I had the video. I saw a video. So Call of Duty had their championship tournament, the biggest tournament of the year, like a month ago. And at the tournament, I forgot what team it was, but there's literally someone in the crowd supporting this team. His buddy had a dog leash. He was tied up on a dog leash. And when they called his team, his favorite team out, he got on the ground and started like jumping at them as if he was a dog.
Oh my god.
Like did this in the crowd. I mean, he was sitting in the front row, so there's open space between him and the stage, and literally was just like jumping at them. And he's like telling his buddy like hold me back, hold me back. I was just watching the video like there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way you're doing this right now. But it's some people are that down for it, and it's I can't necessarily hate on it because I respect anyone who's loyal to a team or a community, and that's just this is my group and I'm sticking to it. But I mean, there are different ways you can support. I don't know. I don't know if a leash needs to be involved, but it is what it is.
Maybe you already had it. Maybe we're just using it for a second activity.
Yeah. Just alternative views. Yeah, makes sense.
It
Just
just came.
recycling.
It just came
Yeah.
to the arena. Just fucking still dressed up, dude. Forgot to
It's like,
change.
I already use this every day. Might as well.
You know, when you've got a competitive game at 6, but you've got a day at 7. You know, that sort of thing.
yeah, exactly.
I
Love
mean,
that.
so again, it is interesting how again going from the side of traditional sports being like you said, like I said, basically cults in a sense. Like you like one team, but there's I don't think it's esports is really adapted to adapted's kind of the wrong word, but I don't think it's got as bad as like traditional sports where people are fucking fighting each other and shit, like stuff
Yeah.
like constantly. Like there's a couple esports fights now and then, like, oh, my team's better. You've seen some videos of people swinging, but
Yeah.
it's again, esports is kind of like, oh, I'm here for these general teams, but I mean we're still a community of gamers for this game. At the end of the day, we're all sweating, or our balls are our balls and tits are sweating. We smell like bo. The stadium smells like ass, and we're here watching this specific game, whether you like the team or not. And that's the other thing is when it comes to esports and tournaments, it's not one team versus one team. It's always, a bracket elimination, a group stage, stuff like that. So your team's always going to be in rotation. So even if you're there for that one optic phase, FlyQuest, TSM, whatever, you're still going to watch the other teams play because you like that game. You want to see that gameplay.
Yeah.
What if you hate the game though? I love that. When people go and they go, but I don't even like this game anyway. I've seen those comments where they're like, it'll be a specific like competitive thing. I think it's mainly like I've got to give it to like Apex and things like that. And they're like, but I can't remember exactly what it was now. But I think sometimes you kind of, as you say, it's really good on that sort of community aspect thing. But I think when people come off the game, I think that can also be like a big break for a lot of people. Like, I don't know, if they do a patch or something, I know people get really angry with that.
Oh, That's a whole nother thing. A Diddy sports band steroid. No. So there's actually some tournaments that have banned Adderall use for sure. So if
Yes.
so some like old Call of Duty tournaments, I think MLG at one point banned the use of Adderall. So there is some kind of drug regulation for some of those bigger tournaments. Um, but to Charlotte's point about patches and stuff, it's like again, it's technically a whole nother subject in itself, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it goes to the fact of especially when you get into the development of games, being a live service game title like Apex Legends, Apex Legends, League of Legends, Jesus Christ, um, used to be Heroes of the Storm, all those live service games, they get consistent patch updates to where, again, you're playing one character, you're having the time of your life, and then it gets nerfed to literal dog shit, and then you're like, oh, I hate this game now because my character is not good. And so
Which that can happen.
so that again kind of creates the dynamic of it's interesting too, what, especially nowadays, 2023, as people going in and out of communities, like, oh, this character is great. I'm going to play this game for X amount of time until it gets nerfed and patched, and then it's gone. I don't like that game anymore. I'm moving to this next community and focusing on this game until this character, my character gets fucking shit on again, and then you're just jumping. So
Game hoppers.
yeah,
It's so much easier to be a game hopper now, though. To be fair, and again, essentially, if you're hopping games, you're hopping communities, because of like Xbox has its own like subscription service. Obviously, PlayStation does, as well as like because there's so many free-to-play games. Obviously, we're putting that in quotations. But like, it's so much easier to kind of hop from one thing to another that I guess you could say that you're not meeting as many people and not being able to get as deep with people because you're like, well, I'm leaving this game now. I'm done with it. Goodbye, and like never speak to them again.
That's actually
Yeah.
a really good thing to touch on, because it's like think of it kind of like Twitch, as in the whole saturation. You started out with a few streamers, people followed those few streamers, and now there's so many streamers to follow that it's just all spread out. It's the same thing with video games. There was back in the days, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, Halo, Team Fortress, and now boom, everything. Like you got Apex Legends, you got Call of Duty, you got Halo, you got Counter Strike, you got Valorant. It's just the whole building off of that, the whole expansion of game development as a whole, and all these games coming out is stretching out those gaming communities to where, yeah, people are hopping from one community to another. They're not creating these personal relationships as much anymore. Everybody's just doing their own thing. It's leading to these, again, singular servers where it's just small communities, 10 to 12, 10 to 100 people just chilling in one server kind of thing. And it's just, I would argue to say there's not that much mesh as there was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. I mean the saturation does play a part in that. There's no question in it. I mean, games also dying can play a part in it too. Because I mean, H1 had a huge community when it was big and popular, and then the second PUBG made kind of like peaked over the mountaintop. It was like H1, huh? Who?
Yeah.
I've never heard of Daybreak. Never. Yeah, no, never. So it's is it the saturation of gaming, or different games also kind of
Well,
playing a part in the problem?
well, so I think it's a little bit of a mix, but I think it errs on the side of something we touched on a few episodes ago is you don't nowadays within the past 5 to 7 years, you don't play games for games. You play games to play with people because
Okay.
it's
Okay.
it's gotten to the point of where we start to realize that yeah, we are getting saturated, we are getting spread apart. People over the past 10, 15 years have been playing more solo titles by themselves. So now I think naturally people are, for lack of like a rubber band kind of term, like stretched out, and now it's starting to snap back into where there's so many games. I've been playing solo for so long because I've been trying all these games. I want to go back to hanging with the boys, hanging with the homies, with the other gamers. And so you're not exactly, I mean, I know I'm 100% devoid of this because I'll play anything. If somebody else wants to play a game with me, I'll be like, yeah, I'll go buy that game on Steam right now.
Yeah,
You know,
true, true, true.
you're there to bring back that social interaction to where you used to just again play games by yourself all the time because there were so many more games to choose from, and you just got lost in, oh, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this, and it's just that social rubber band just starting to snap back.
That's an interesting way to put it, whereas before it was about connecting with friends through games, now it's connecting to games through your friends.
Yeah.
I'll be the first person to admit that, have talking with Apex and Brandon about us hanging out in Discord. Like, we'll get into Discord and hang out, but someone will be like, "Oh, what game are we playing?" I don't know. And then throughout the day, if I happen to see a game on Steam that looks cool, I'll send it to them. If they happen to see a game on Steam that looks cool, they'll send it to me. And by us downloading the game and playing it, you're right. Like, it is bringing us together. It is making us. We're sitting in Discord longer. Like, we're not kind of just sneaking up the room. Like, we're actually doing something.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, it totally makes sense. And it's not a thing that you may necessarily think about. It just kind of subconsciously happens.
Well, like things like, because me, you and me both, we were Heroes of the Storm players. I'm not
Hmm.
an inherent League of Legends player, but if there's a group of people, even 1 to 2 people who just, hey, I don't have anything else but League of Legends. You want to play League of Legends? I'm gonna download League of Legends. Like it's not the fact of whether or not I like the game. It's whether or not I'm gonna have fun hanging out with people playing that game.
Sure, totally
Do
makes
you
sense.
think that there being more free to play games probably helped that?
Helped or hurt?
Helped. Sorry.
Um,
No, I think
no, that
I
was
think
that was
he had
that was
no.
rhetorical.
He intentionally added that
Yeah.
in. Uh,
It's
I'm
when it comes,
oh,
it's interesting. It's hard to say when it comes to free to play games because it also depends what genre you're specifically talking about. When you're talking about something like League of Legends or Apex Legends, just the fact that those both have legends right now is blowing my mind. I don't know why that's killing me. Um, but some things like that, those are two kind of standout games that have always brought people together. People are always down to play it. But then you got the other quote unquote cash grabby games that are just like, hey, we're gonna advertise ourselves as a free game, but here's all these microtransactions kind of thing. So that throws in a whole other aspect of, you know,
I'm,
are you playing this game because it's free, or are you playing this game, for some other psychological reason? And
mm,
then on the other hand, things like Halo Infinite. Halo's now free to play. So it's there's a give and take, I would say. There's a benefit, and then
Yeah.
there's pros and cons for sure.
I definitely think that free to play games are allowing players to game more. And honestly, the statement that I just made about me, Apex and Randy looking for games to play with each other, I feel like free to play games are, in a sense, maybe allowing friends to game more often. Because what happened over the last 10 years or so is the games that everyone used to play, people no longer play anymore, right? And they're like, well, we don't have anything else. We don't have anything for us to play now. We're bored. The whole MCGB crew was just primarily Call of Duty. We didn't play anything but Call of Duty. That's all we played. That's all we knew. But once the boys, moved on in their lives, stopped playing COD, got a family or whatever, COD was no longer the thing. But there are a lot of games nowadays that we play that are outside of Call of Duty, and we're okay with it. Pummel Party being a great example. Jackbox Games isn't free to play, but it's to the point of like the free to play games are allowing the groups to say, all right, well, maybe that old game was no longer our thing, but like what can we play today, if anything? So
Yeah, exactly.
I can. I think we go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think that's the exact sentiment, is just having the option of those free to play games that you can fall back on and say, hey, we're bored. One thing that instantly just pops in mind right now is Farlight.
Yeah.
That's free. It's a shitty PC port, but
Yeah.
again, we don't like, you don't have anything to play. Here's a free game that you can still play video games, with the community, with the gamers. So
And Farlight's fun.
yeah,
when
and
you're crushing kids.
exactly. And then, but then you get into that aspect of like free MMOs, for example. Especially when it comes to the mobile cash grabby MMOs, stuff like that, where it takes more cohesiveness, I would say, between a whole community to kind of get into a game like that as well. And then again, there's people who don't like that kind of cash grabby stuff. They look at microtransactions and they instantly uninstall, kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, so annoying. So annoying.
It's definitely an open book when it comes to free to play games, for sure.
If it's pay to win, then fair enough. But if it's just aesthetics, shut up and play the game.
Yeah.
Shut up and play the game, bro.
That's another thing I think we touched on with the MMO episode as well, is what is considered necessarily pay to win and what is not. And we even kind of touched on the argument of, is, our XP boosts pay to win, are, one thing that screams out to a lot of the MMO community as far as pay to win things and stuff that kind of just inflates the general economy, I would say, for lack of a better term, is things like WoW tokens, or in-game when you can buy game time with in-game currency, but you can also buy it with real money. So therefore, those kind of people who do have that real money, they will buy those quote unquote, I'm going to use WoW tokens as an example. They will buy those WoW tokens with physical money and then go in game and sell them for the digital currency. So therefore, you have that real money to digital currency transition, and then all of a sudden you have an inflated in-game economy, which people will argue that that's pay to win at the end of the day. because you're paying for that token whether or not you use it as game time. It still has a set amount of currency that it's worth that you can sell in game, and of course currency in game leads to better gear, better stuff, pay to win, right?
Mm.
I have to just make a point out to my favorite mobile game of all time, Love Nikki, which is an MMORPG technically, and it's a fashion game. But all of the outfits, I like when you, as you said about pay to win, it just kind of came to me as like, I think what has made, I think the game's been out like 6 years now, which is big for a mobile game, and
Yeah.
it's the mix of like the aesthetic. It's like, oh, everyone's looking pretty, but also you kind of have that sort of advantage in the game as well against the other players, and I think that's what a lot of free to play games don't seem to have a good enough mix of. Some people just want to look pretty, me. Some people want to get things, other people. And I think it's having that sort of mix, as you say.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
it's
But yeah,
definitely a whole different. It's a whole different conversation uh when it comes to that, and how, I mean, going back in full circle, how that interacts with the community, how it makes them feel as gamers when, again, in a general term, you have all these free games coming out, these quote unquote wow tokens kind of things, pay to win kind of strategies, microtransactions. What does that do psychologically for the community, for the gamer, to make them, one, either want to play that game, or two, the latter option, where is probably the most used option, is you're gonna game hop. You don't want to play that game anymore because it's just changed so much and goes against your morals, that you're gonna pull yourself out of that community to go to a different one that you think is more relatable, right?
yeah, I
Mm.
definitely can see that. I think as again, just to play devil's advocate because I love doing that. Is like I think the only one of the reasons why, like, especially I can only talk about Love Nikki because I love it. But like I think one of the main reasons it's been alive so long is because of the people who are actually willing to pay into the game. I think like some of the other games that the developers have done haven't done as well, and the community stayed alive for this one as well. And I think that's kind of helpful. And I think pay to win is so awful, and I hate it. I think there's just got to be a bit more like transparency, right? Like, look,
Yeah.
we're gonna support this game for this long. If we don't make enough money, that's it. Goodbye. Like I still think there's enough of that out there.
Yes.
People are
There
being very honest with it.
it
Yeah.
is. It is abhorrent how easy and how prevalent it is that money grabs have become a thing, to where developers just push out games to push out games just to make that money back. And then, especially games that, and developers that promise to their community that they're going to be a live service game, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Um, so again, that just goes full circle to the specific, gamer being part of that community. Do they want to continue supporting that kind of business model, when it comes to those games? Sure, you may like the game, you may want to really play it, but then you got all these League of Legend clones that you want to try, but they all end up being just pay to win cash grabs. And then you're kind of just like, do I really enjoy these games, or do I just
Yeah.
jump from game to game because either one, again, the community, or two, that you're just devoted to that genre kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's also something to say that, I mean, if a game is good enough, if a whatever game it is that you're trying, if it's developed well enough, you're not going anywhere as
Mm-hmm.
long as it's a good enough game. right? Like when I started playing Vainglory on mobile, I wasn't a big mobile gamer. I played a little Clash of Clans here and there, but that Clash of Clans was just that was casual. That was during my break. Vainglory, I became addicted to. I bought a fucking iPad because of that game, right? And there was actual competitive aspect to the game as well. So that when that game, I was willing to, you know, there wasn't really. I don't think there was anything. Well, I guess whenever they release new characters, you could buy them with in-game currency. But I never got to a point where I was like, oh, this game's broken. I'm gonna stop playing it because it was just so damn good, right? So I guess someone's frustration around pay to win is only as good as the game is itself.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, if the game is trash and it's pay to win, who's gonna play it? It's just not happening.
There'll be some person out there. I remember there was a mobile game I was modding for a little bit, and it was okay. And someone got to the top VIP level in a week, and it was like $5,000. And I was like, how can you drop that much money on a game that's only been out? And it was literally, I think it was max 2 weeks. And she was like, I'm gonna play it forever, and I'm like, it's gonna die. You're the only one.
Yeah, and then of course there are those people, especially in the mobile game community, that will take all this money and dump it straight in to be on the top of the list because they thrive off of that pay to win because they have that money. And then you got your quote unquote bottom tier free players who are just like, well, why do I even try playing anymore? This kid's just gonna shit on me with everything he's got. If think of like Star Trek Fleet Command, for example, you're starting off as a level 1, and then this guy who's only a week into the game put 5-10 grand into it. He comes in with the best ship and just wrecks your house, dude. And you're just sitting there like, okay, I can't do anything because every time I quote unquote respawn, he's just gonna come in and wreck my shit. So there are definitely people who thrive off of that pay to win kind of aspect. But again, then it goes to how much are you going to let your game be pay to win to keep these quote unquote free to play players within your community, within liking your game still, so that it's not wildly unfair.
Yeah.
I
think. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think we should pack in all games and only play Roblox.
Well, so one thing I kind of want to do is for Cracked Media, and I'm kind of going to use this as a little bit of a wrap up and transition into episode 2 because we are getting 15 over an hour. But I mean, we still got a lot of topics to cover. We touched on most of it, but we didn't go as in depth as I think we could have. So definitely gonna elongate this for sure. But something I want to do with Cracked Media in the future, once we get big enough as our own community, as our own people who are interested in this kind of stuff, is I want to create some kind of, not necessarily game review system, but more of either just like buying and reviewing games or becoming kind of like an ESRB kind of thing, to where your game has to go through us. It doesn't have to go through us, but if you want this specific stamp of approval that this game is actually like made, developed, bug-free kind of stuff like that, come through us, we'll test it out, and if we give it the stamp of approval, like we can help push. Yeah, exactly. We can help push it. This game was certified by Cracked Media. It doesn't have excessive bugs. It has a good development line. They have places that they're going to go. It's not going to be a pay to win fest, kind of stuff like that. So, I mean, that's obviously like huge in the future aspiration kind of thing, but it's definitely something I kind of want to do because going back into it, there are all these shit games. There are all these pay to win, cash grab, money grab kind of things. And I think it's just a huge detriment to the gaming community as a whole to, oh, I like all these games. I want to try all these games, but I get disappointed because I'm trying all these games because they're not what I want. They're not what I expect. And again,
like,
that goes and that goes back to the aspect of, not to like cut you off on that. That goes back to the aspect of I don't play the game for the game. I play the game for my community, for my friends, for the homies, you know.
You could even review the actual communities as well. That'd be fun.
That would be fun. That that would be interesting.
Are they toxic or not? Yes, no. That's a good rating. This is essentially like we would be the fun police, and I think that's great.
Hell yeah!
That's what the internet needs.
Well, that kind of touches on it, and I'm just gonna put this as kind of my last point. Touches on our last Call of Duty episode of how Call of Duty has transitioned from in base arena shooter to now everybody's playing Warzone Battle Royale and nobody's playing the base arena shooter anymore. What does that do for the Call of Duty community as a whole? That's changed. You don't have a 6v6 team anymore. Maybe some people will queue up like solo squads and meet a couple people here and there, but you're only talking to those 4 people. It's not like you can communicate with the rest of the lobby to where arena, back in the Call of Duty days, you're talking shit. You're hyping yourself up. Everybody's just throwing shit at each other in the pregame lobby, and that's the camaraderie of that community. So that's a whole different aspect, another episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good point, though. I think that when it became from having 12 people in a lobby max to 100, there's no way you can talk to everybody, and I think you miss out on that little, as you say, that camaraderie,
Yeah.
I mean, that's also why, having the proximity chat in Warzone 2 was a huge, like, everyone was so excited about that. When they announced proximity chat, people were like, oh, because you wanted to be able to talk to people. The what is it? What do they call the death?
The
death mic,
voice,
or whatever they call it.
Death mic,
death voice. That's a big thing in Call of Duty, and just being able to interact with someone before or while you're getting ready, to kill them. There are content creators who are making shorts all based on proximity chat, like interactions in Warzone. There's one particular guy I watch quite a bit. Every single one of his shorts is always like, you see someone around the corner, all right, cool. Now we're talking. We're having a whole conversation right before I kill you. And they're funny interactions, like legitimately.
But
my favorite was sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say my favorite Warzone creator at the minute, I see him on shorts all the time, is he pretends to be like an 8-year-old, and I know it makes me laugh so hard because like he'll pretend like his mom's like made him like he's gonna have to come off the game, or like she's promised him pizza if he wins or whatever.
Oh, you're talking about the Warzone player, right?
Yeah. Oh my god. So hard.
I used to get his TikTok feed all the time. It was great. He had the vocalizer and everything. Mom, I'm those are funny, but and then in the aspect of proximity chat, it's more of, it takes away that, hey, I want to be friends. Cool, we're playing the same game and everything, but it doesn't really facilitate that aspect of, hey, I want to be friends with this guy. It's more of, hey, it enables me to talk shit. Not that
True.
I'm gonna grow and get a friendship with them, but I'm able to communicate with other people. So there's still that communication factor, but there's not that attachment factor. I guess
Yeah.
I could say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great word.
So oh man, we got through most of what we wanted to talk about. Charlotte has a lot more that she wants to go through, and I am more than happy to get another episode going for the rest of it. We're probably gonna touch on esports again, just because it was kind of more of a hit and miss kind of thing. Talk a little bit about the inclusivity and diversity of just gaming communities in general. Go more in depth about streaming and content creation and that superficial kind of relationship, toxicity and moderation of these kind of communities, servers, stuff like that. Definitely want to touch on cross platform. That's going to be a huge one, as far as interaction between people, and just find probably going to finish off with kind of like future where things are going, how it's going to progress. But all of that's going to be into the next episode. So I think we're going to pump brakes here, let you guys pull in some social plugs, and get ready for next episode. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, thank you guys both so much, for letting me come on here and talk about it. One thing I thought would be really cool for the next episode is if I kind of got a couple of responses on my survey, maybe we could talk about some topics that haven't necessarily come up yet, or someone's kind of opinion that could be completely different to ours, and I'd love that.
Oh, yes. I almost completely forgot about that because I did not save the notification on my Discord, which I usually do. Literally just mark everything as unread so you don't miss it. If you guys have not seen so yet, please go into Crack Media Discord under Fully Customs uh, not survey, under Fully Customs channel, under Designer Showcase. She will have her survey for you guys to take, and we will take those surveys into next episode and use those also as conversation points as well.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
It's I'm actually really excited for that. I'm actually gonna go take the survey myself after this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I say, like if anybody wants to kind of have like a bigger conversation about it, maybe we can sit down and have like an interview about like where they began in their online gaming community journey. I'd love that as well, and I've left a little note bar so you can kind of send me contact details, and maybe we could talk about that too. I just really am grateful, that we can get to talk about this thing because it is so important. I think as someone who sits on a desk every day for the past 15 years. I think there's many people out here that are like it, and not enough people realize how important it is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it really is. Again, I was really excited when you came to me with this idea of, hey, I'm doing a PhD thesis on this, and need to get some feedback on it, and I was just all for it. I think what's the next episode time? Don't tell me it's the 30th. Oh no. Okay, we'll work it out. We'll work it out. I'm going to be gone on the weekend of the 30th. So we'll either just have Juice and Kyle heading the episode, or we'll push it off. We'll push it off another 2 weeks for the next episode, or we can do it on the next week. Like we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it for sure. But either way,
if necessary, we can just record it next Sunday. Well, because I will be out also on the 30th. myself.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, next, so I still have to talk to Flynn about Spotlight too. We might do Spotlight next week.
Got you.
So I think, yeah, we'll talk about it. For info, uh, oh, a PhD. Who's a smart one here? That's Charlotte. Charlotte's a smart one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I say something? I just pay them money and then they let me keep coming back. That's all it is. It's not that I'm smart.
That's how it usually works, right? Hashtag university.
We need more gamers in university. That's all I'm gonna say about it. It's not
Yeah.
enough.
I almost went to university for game development, which I retrospectively probably should have, but it was an aspiration at one point. So if you guys haven't joined the Discord, we'll spam that link here at the end as well. Don't forget to take that survey. Juice, go ahead and post your socials. I know you got them.
Absolutely.
You can find me, of course, anywhere. Twitter, Twitch /JDogging. I will probably be live later tonight as well on my personal. And we will keep you guys updated in the Discord of our future episodes and what's going to happen over the next 2 to 4 weeks, because it is going to be kind of a juggle. I'm not going to lie. It's God damn it, Tommy. If you're listening to this, actually, it's not your fault. It's your friend's fault. 28. Yeah.
Kind of a good problem to have, right? You know.
I mean, we'll see. It's
having things lined up. You know, being a little busy. Busy can be good.
I mean, it's a bachelor's party. Who's gonna complain, right? But yeah, that wraps it out. Episode 7. Our lovely guest Charlotte, PhD, smart person, here to join us, gracing us with her presence. Thank you very much. It was lovely to have you. Can't wait for the next episode. And
me neither.
Fill out those surveys. It'll be a lot of help. I'll be also spamming it in the Discord announcements every now and then, just so you guys don't fully forget. But yeah, until next time, thank you guys for hanging out. XP Share, episode 7, signing off. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.